Welcome to the Disrupting Podcast with your host Alex Culler, myself Dana Donovick. Today couldn't be more enthusiastic to discuss Ford and how they are electrifying their whole fleet of cars, starting with the F150 Lightning and the Mach-E. Alex, what's your initial thought here?
Well, with what people have been talking about, and has been one of the biggest issues when it comes to electrification transition, is how can these startup companies really compete with these legacy automotive companies that have already fully established? And I absolutely understand that. They only need to partner with the right companies in order to be just as effective in the electrification process, get the right technology, because these other startup companies are fully dedicated for electrification, from Lucid to obviously Tesla, Fisker, Faraday Future, you name it. Companies are fully dedicated for that. Ford, Daimler, all these other companies, they're not really fully dedicated. They're still doing combustible engines, and they're even doing hybrids. And now they're starting to realize there's a huge pressure for that to go to full electric. We saw with GM, and now we're seeing with Ford. I love what I'm seeing with the Ford Lightning as well as the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I get it, when the Mustang Mach-E came in, they're like, that's just a knockoff Tesla Mach-E or Mach-3. And I get it, but they're going to take advantage of it. And they have the infrastructure to be able to build these vehicles for a cheaper price than the likes of these other startups. So I think it's a smart move on them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone had to pivot towards the electrification era that we're entering, right?
Yeah.
And I think no one really knows at what point did like the big automotive giants like Ford and GM really pivot. For all we know, they probably started this 10 years ago. But, you can't just do this overnight. They have these existing plants that are already built out, all these internal capabilities. It's hard to just kind of revamp that, especially when you have existing business for combustible engines. But yeah, I share the same enthusiasm about, what's to come with Ford. I've never really been a pickup truck guy unless it's like vintage, but man, that F-150 Lightning is legit, and I need one. Definitely. We need to test drive one. That is for sure.
I would love to test drive it. I would love to test drive both vehicles, the Lightning and the Mach-E. I'm pretty sure we could just go to a dealership and just test it right now, because the Mach-E's out on the road. And I think that the Ford Lightning, that's a really smart idea, because you see all these other companies that are coming out, like Workhorse, not Workhorse. What I'm saying, I'm thinking about Lordstown.
Oh yeah,
Lordstown's they have one truck, one vehicle, and they're still in startup mode. And they have to Ford has to beat them to it, because if they beat them to it, they're going to set the foundation of how a electric truck has to perform. And so far with the specs, I love what I'm seeing. Horsepower is not incredible. The range is not incredible, but for like the size of the truck, the range is pretty efficient, truthfully. And
as we know, that the Ford F-150 to date is like one of the best-selling passenger vehicles in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the vehicle has the potential, if you ask me, to greatly accelerate just electric vehicle adoption in general in the United States, because people already love the Ford F-150. Now, you brought up this technical spec. You can't please everyone. And,
exactly.
We know the limitations of battery tech, capacity, lifespan, density, all of those things dictate the performance of the vehicle. And as you know, too, we've started this project with Charge Talk, where we literally are doing a deep dive on lithium and the performance of batteries, and how it literally can be broken down to lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide. Hydroxide being the more higher performance, but also the more expensive.
Yeah.
And so I don't think anyone quite knows what Ford is using here. But let's look at the spec here. The target feet per torque is 750 pounds. Goes 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds. For an F-150 truck, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It also has got, all of this kilowatt power, enough to literally power your house for 3 days if you wanted to plug in. And I hate to chime in on the hurricane situation right now, but this could be a plausible, quick solution for anyone in a dire need.
Yeah.
Let alone if you are a contractor and you need to be able to plug in, your drill bits or all these power tools and whatnot. I mean, you could literally operate using your truck.
Exactly.
I mean,
There's a lot of utility. That's what it's basically made. The truck was always the Ford F-150 was always made to be the workman's truck. It was the journeyman truck. And in order to get the job done, that's what they did. But they're also taking advantage of the new technology now. And in the Ford Lightning, yes, you can charge your drills. You can charge and just directly charge it from the truck itself. That's absolutely what you need. You're seeing that type of technology being utilized across all these prototypes from Rivian. You're seeing you could literally grill on it and wash your hands and all that.
Yeah.
And then you see these other companies like even Tesla. You're seeing Canoe. They're trying to do that.
Your favorite company, Canoe.
Canoe's trying to do that. I love their little box truck, but I don't like their thing that looks like a shark. Anyways, but it's a needed technology and they're taking advantage of it. And they're basically almost first to market. But they need to beat out these other companies first. They have the prototype that's at the end stage of prototype phase. They have to beat everybody else in order to perform well with the Ford Lightning.
Well, as of a couple days ago, Ford reported they have 130,000 reservations, which is pretty substantial. Now, mind you, I think it was like 20 or 30,000 within the first 48 hours. Actually, no, I'm reading here 44,000. Cybertruck still beat that. I think the Cybertruck personally is a joke.
Yes.
I don't think there's any utility to it.
It's never going to come out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been pushed. Look, the reservations for I'm like, this is going to be bold. I'll say this is that it's basically kind of like the Nikola Badger. Like you could have reserved a Tesla Cybertruck for pennies on the dollar. You can do it for $100. You can do it for $1,000, whatever. But it's not full priced and it's refundable. All those sales numbers are just numbers. All these people that are literally coming out for the Ford Lightning, I'm more than certain the American people that are demanding Lightning, like electrification, they're going to pay for this. And it's not expensive. It's less than $45,000.
Yeah. Well, and so you're right. Ford offers the Ford F-150 Lightning and a few different packages, ranging from $40,000 all the way up to $90,000, depending on how pimped out you want this. But you're right. It's clear Tesla has more brand power than Ford right now in regards to EV. But I think it remains to be seen how many of those reservations of the 130,000 actually translate to orders, considering it's $100 refundable deposit for the vehicle. That's not coming out tomorrow or this year, but mid next year. So I don't know. What's your immediate thought on like just that timeline for production? We know that customers are anxious.
They're wanting to make sure that they're going through production. The exact same thing that we're seeing with Lucid, exact same thing that we saw with Tesla in the past. They want to make sure production and just final product is good and they'll get it done. And I also think that they're renovating a massive factory. I need to do a deep dive on that. They're most likely, in order to support these large productions, they are renovating and restructuring factories in order to provide and sustain and provide this huge demand and supply it. So I think that's a good idea for them to push a little bit. And then once they're fully ready, push it out. You're seeing how they're performing with the Ford Mach-E, the Mustang Mach-E. They're doing great with that. The sales are pretty solid. The sales are around $47,000, outperforming what they expected for the year to date. And it was their answer to the Tesla Model E or Model 3. Yep. And instead of paying $70,000 for a brand new coupe vehicle for a Tesla, you can get this for around $42,000, $43,000. And it's not the fastest vehicle at all, but you can get up to around 459 horsepower. You're getting range between 211 to 305 miles on battery only. But they also provide the hybrid. People in the world right now, they're not always in the charging areas in order to be able to charge their vehicles. They need to have that hybrid option. I myself have a Prius. I'm going to take advantage of that until there's more charging capabilities in my area. And then I'll get a more electric vehicle with more range or whatever. And it's a smart idea. It's doing well, performing well. It's not outperforming the Tesla Model Y, none of them.
Nor will it.
But it's showing that they're on the right way. And all reviews are doing good. Customer reviews, industry reviews, it's all showing doing well, from 9.5 from Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Edmunds, you name it. It's good reviews from every corner, and I think they're on the right track.
Well, and you and I have been saying this for, I mean, I feel like we're broken records, but, and I think most people would agree with us that, you know, the manufacturer that's able to produce a car that appeals to the lower socioeconomic class is going to be the one that sells volume. At the end of the day, volume converts to sales. And it begs the question of, like, you look at Lucid Motors. We've been in the car. We loved it. Who doesn't want one? But one must have to honestly ask, is it overpriced? And, you know, it's not, it doesn't reach, you know, the everyday person. Whereas Ford, it's part of their model to be able to meet that price point that everyone can appreciate and enjoy electrification. And so I think that will really dictate a lot for the future of both Lucid Motors and for Ford.
That's the biggest issue with these startups. Like I said at the beginning of this, is that they have to be able to compete. They have to get the vehicle out before these legacy automakers catch up, which they're starting to. See what Daimler with the EQS, Mercedes. Like I think that that's a main competitor. I understand in the interview that I had with Peter, he said, "I love Mercedes. Mercedes is whatever he said." I need to give him props for that, to show professionalism, but there is a sense that you have to be a little bit nervous for these legacy automakers catching up. And these legacy automakers are investing into the right technology. You're seeing Ford, GM investing into these projects in order to create better battery technology. They're investing into other companies like Microvast. They have GM and Ford work with this battery project that
that consortium.
The consortium that's building a better technology. And guess who they are working with? Microvast.
God bless.
And they're also doing investments into electric batteries. Like they're investing into solid state batteries in Renew Power from Ford alone.
Well, and so think about
they're making the right investments.
Yeah, they're diversified too. In a sense, they're mitigating risk, covering their ass, and ensuring that they will be a player in the future. I'm reading here that Ford plans to ramp up the F-150 Lightning to 15,000 vehicles in 2022, 55,000 in 2023, 80,000 in 2024, and with a target of 160,000 vehicles in 2025 when the second gen of the Lightning hits the road. So let's hope those projections are real, that they're able to meet that. But I think for the time being, it's safe to say we'll believe it when we see it, right?
I agree. I believe it when I see it, but in the same way, I think those projections are a little bit they're under promising and trying to outperform because we're seeing what's happening across the world, from the investments in Europe to Asia to now in the United States. Like states are saying that you can have a combustible engine by 2030. You have to, and that's spreading across all the states in the United States, from California to Massachusetts. It's happening, and they're building out the network. I think that they're potentially going to outperform those projections, and they should. They're fully capable of doing it, but that's just my thoughts.
Sure. Well, and I don't have much more, but I do want to end on just a few more technical specs. We're talking about the plugins. They have 11 different plugins, again, for your mobile business, table saws, circular saw, all that bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. But targeted EPA estimate of 300 miles of range, maximum available towing of about 10,000 pounds, targeted maximum payload of around 2,000 pounds, and 100% charging overnight capability. So, and it's got a sexy 15.5-inch monitor like Tesla. I definitely encourage everyone to take a good look at this, especially if you need, a utility vehicle with function. This seems to pack all the punch. And rest assured, we're going to see what we can do on our end to go and try one of these things, because
absolutely.
I want to learn more.
Yeah, before we go, I definitely want to try to bring up the chart to kind of show people what's going on with Ford right now. So let me bring that up really quickly.
Yep. And let me enable this. Good to go. So Ford right now is around like 13 some dollars, right? What's up there?
Yes. So right now it's at 1301. So when you're looking at right now, right upon announcement of the Ford Lightning, it spiked up massively between May to June. So it reached all-time highs of around 1650, 1670, right around June 3rd, June 4th. And it all of a sudden people realized it's not going to be happening until 2022, so it started to sell off. It pushed all the way down to its first support level of around 1277, right in between probably June 17th, June 18th, without really checking firmly. And it kept on doing its downtrend, try to pop back up. And then it bounced below that support level and caught itself around 1220. And now it's going sideways. It looks like it's starting to stabilize, but it's starting to, if you look at the white line, it's going to be testing that downward like trend. If it breaks out and continues to go sideways and breaks out that downtrend, we see it start to go up with that little curve that we could see. But if it breaks down, the volume is not high. If it breaks down, we could see the worst case scenario, 1133 could come very shortly. So obviously it's high in valuation. If you look at the market cap, they need to push out products quicker. But if they don't, you can kind of sit on it and wait. I personally, if you're looking for a long-term investment, you're looking at what they're doing across the whole area, from investments to other companies, from Renew Power to their own investment to Rivian, as well as other battery technologies. There's exciting things to come, but wait for those next couple of weeks to see how the company, like how the stock reacts, and see if it actually breaks out this downtrend. If you see confirmation that it's going back up, it's sustaining, then again, non-licensed financial advisor, this is going to be a pretty safe investment for the long term, kind of like a GM.
Yep.
So that's just my thoughts.
Well, and I think you made a great point earlier too. You know, this car's not coming out tomorrow or anytime soon, so I think it's fair to say we will see fluctuation. It's hard to predict when necessarily, but definitely something to keep on the old watch list, right?
Yes, definitely. Just watch for that confirmation. You need to look at the volume, make sure the volume confirms that it's breaking out of that downtrend and continues with that curve. If it doesn't support, like follow that support level at 1277, we can see it break down even further and retest that worst case scenario, 1133. I don't think anybody wants to lose that amount of money. I think people just need to wait it out until you get full confirmation, and you'll see these algorithms catch up and start putting in a lot of volume into it. So just be careful.
Yep. Well, hey, I think we said it all. We'll obviously revisit this when the time comes, but until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.